didn't do a whole lot tonight, but I did get the last of the photo etch done. Namely, photo etch on the backs of the rest of the crew chairs. I now have enough chairs for all the workstations. What I basically did was, instead of cutting the individual pieces, I cut them in groups of 3 so I could put the whole group on the back of the chair. But now I've got chairs for all the panels that actually need one, plus a spare. And I'm ready to start the next phase, which will involve the figures. That, and I still have to do Spock's scope and Sulu's scope for his console. But that's where we're sitting. Alright. Actually got quite a bit done, though it may not look like it. I have gotten all of the figures I'm going to be using this build assembled. I'm using a combination of both the old and new kit figures. I've got Lieutenant Uhura, Captain Kirk, generic red shirt guy using the original body of Spock, or Spock from the original issue, I should say. Mr. Scott using the Kirk from the original issue. Sulu, Chekhov, Dr. McCoy, Mr. Spock, and another random red shirt. Now, one of the interesting things about using the old bodies with the new heads is the old bodies had a flush neck. The new heads had spikes drilled in them. Well, rather than actually go through and drill the spikes, noticing I got to trim something up here. Just bear with me just a minute. Little not so easy to get at seam work here. That's not going to be easy to get a sanding stick on either. The old figures don't look that good, I'll be honest. The new figures are light years ahead of these. But at the same time, I had the figures to use, so I figured I'd use them. You know, Spock is actually in a characteristic Spock pose, hands clasped behind his back so he can stand there behind Captain Kirk. Now, one of the things I do like is, in both versions of the kit, it's supplied these round discs to glue to the bottoms of the feet of the standing figures. Now, the old Spock figure didn't have too bad of seams, just had a really stiff pose. So I figured it would work really well for a generic security red shirt. Got some nasty seamage down here on Scotty's feet. I've got some glue in that gap now setting up. I'll see how it turns out. Right now, that is where we are sitting for the moment. Okay, after a couple of days break, we're back at it on the Enterprise bridge. Or bridge proposal, I guess I should still call it, because this isn't going to be the TOS bridge by any stretch. I have gotten at least the beginnings of paint on this thing. Primered it all up with rattle can primer. Well, the chairs and stuff I did by hand with my airbrush. I've still got to go in and touch up a couple of things, like the yellow is still showing on the plastic here. But what I've done, got the control panel, the helm console, started out with the regular gray primer, and then moved to the Vallejo dark gray primer for the rest of the coat. I've done the cushions of the command chair in the same dark primer. floor here is the Badger Armor Sand. The regular chairs, I just hand shot the black back to. Other than that, they're just the primer gray. Consoles, I did in the rattle can primer, the slightly darker primer for the screens, and then shot the, looks like I need to touch up some of these, shot the dark gray primer on the actual console bed. The stairs I still need to do the stair treads on, but all in all, we've got some good progress. I need to go in and touch up some of this by hand. But things are moving right along. I haven't touched the figures yet, but I figure they're going to be one of the last things I try to tackle. Stay tuned.